Mr. Bloom?
I didn't come into this meeting with my mind made up. I was not at the subcommittee meeting. I wanted to hear the testimony of people who took the time to come and speak tonight. I had an opportunity to read the minutes in the last subcommittee meeting. I have been deeply troubled by the conflict that we seem to be going through. That's unfortunate, but this exhibits almost a lack of civility in our culture. It's been alluded to, and it makes for a very difficult decision because I don't think anybody is going to be happy about the outcome here. I've discussed with council, our council, the possibilities of the outcomes in this particular case. And as our council indicated to you tonight, it's not a clear-cut decision. And frankly, I think that the banner should have its day in court because because as one gentleman said tonight, the majority should not be bullied. That I personally do not find the banner offensive. I happen to be Jewish. I can attest to you that I haven't seen it in the prayer books in the synagogue, the words Heavenly Father. But I was born 49 years ago, and 49 years ago, when I went to school, we didn't get days off for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And I learned that that's just the way it was, and I dealt with it. And so things that some people might find offensive, I don't, because I was raised at a time, and Mr. Bradley, this is probably the reason why no one complained about it 50 or 60 years ago, is because our culture was different 50 and 60 years ago. 1898, Plessy versus Ferguson was the law of the land, and separate but equal was the way things were. And what's happened over time is that we have learned, in many respects, we see it, unfortunately, sometimes, in a lack of civility, but we've actually learned to be more tolerant of differences between people, and we are trying to implement them in schools and throughout other public places. And so it's not fair that the majority be bullied out of having something that they think is important articulated. But at the same time, we need to find a balance for even if it's one person who's offended by it. And I can't necessarily explain why they're offended by something. I think many of you, I'm looking at the faces here, and many of you, I'm sure, have seen the movie To Kill a Mockingbird. And I'll have to be honest with you, I'm ashamed to be here tonight and to hear sometimes a complete lack of insensitivity for someone to say, turn and don't look at something. How do you know how someone feels? I'm sure there are things that you have found that have been offensive, and if someone turned to you and said, don't look at it, you would be appalled. So the real issue here is how do we find a balance between people who want, and many people are wearing a sign that says, keep original banner, and those few who are upset over something, for whatever reason it is. It's not for us to dictate why they're upset and whether or not it's reasonable or not. They are. So how do we find a balance so that we can address everybody? Because all of these students have to go to school here. And this isn't about you and me. This is about the students. Imagine you're back in high school, and you all remember how difficult it was. Hormones raised you, trying to get an education, and now we have to deal with something else. For whatever reason it is, they feel excluded. Unfortunately, we are in a situation right now where we don't have an opportunity to obtain that balance. We're faced with a lawsuit that says take it down. I did hear a suggestion tonight, I think it was Mrs. Packett, if I got that correct, suggested putting up other banners. Now that would be a reasonable solution that might address everybody's concerns. But we don't have that option. Unfortunately, we do not. And we're faced with rolling the dice on a lawsuit which the city, not the school district, please bear this in mind, we have no money. Any money that the school district has is legally appropriated by the city. So what do? I don't want to be bullied. I think the banner deserves its day in court. Our council has indicated that it has the opportunity to prevail. And then the best outcome of all would be to have a multitude of banners up there, so that everybody who went to Cranston West felt included in the school. But we don't have the luxury of negotiating that right now, because we face rolling the dice we face rolling the dice. So, in conclusion, I don't see how we can get ourselves out of this box. I would like to see its day in court, but unless we can go back to the ACLU and negotiate something that would be satisfactory to everybody, I have to vote against the resolution as it is written right this moment. If there are amendments to it that will go forward and allow it to have the banner's day in court, and we can find a way around it, I am all for that. But as these resolutions are currently presented, which is without a modification, without other banners up on the wall, I can't support something right now which is insensitive to other people.